Welcome to African Couch Potato, the mashup. This is episode 42, and today I'm with award-winning playwright, director, and author Palesa Mazamisa. How I got to know you actually was from Karabu, who was my guest in episode 35. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm very good.
Yeah.
Starting off with the plays, there's Flights of Fancy, there's Shoes Coups, there's No Laughing Matter. You're currently working on short stories. How did you get to writing plays?
To be honest, I knew since I was a child that I would write. I was told by one of our family friends. So we grew up in the Netherlands and then they were in the UK. And so one day he just told me that when we used to go visit them in the UK, we were young. I was like 3 years old, 4 years old, 5. I would write on the walls. So he's always had this image of me writing on the walls, always writing on something. That's one memory that's, I just couldn't remember. And so he said, I'm not surprised that you're still writing today.
Is there some resonance to like great-grandfather, forefathers, or ancestors who also used to write?
Yes. What I learned at some point was that my great-grandfathers, they were writers, they were journalists, they were publishers. So around between 1860 and 1880 something, they were part of organizations. So they were political activists and they were part of organizations that published the first newspapers. They were writing opinion pieces. So at the time it was the British. So they were fighting the British.
Yeah.
And so I've seen
fighting as in through letters or
through the law.
Yeah.
Some of them were lawyers also. So they were trying to shift the colonial powers. So they were busy with the magistrates sent from the UK to be magistrates here in South Africa. So this is particularly in the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
And so they were dealing with them. So it was both from a legal perspective, it was through writing, through journalism, and a protest. But they really were challenging the powers of that particular day. So when I saw that part about my ancestors, then this whole thing of me always wanting to be a writer made sense.
Yes.
I understood where that passion came from. And I think also in the family, we all write easily, let me say. It comes to us naturally. Yeah,
that's a very beautiful point that you touch on, because a lot of people don't view writing as inherent. It's always like music. Yeah, your father used to play the piano. Soccer, your father used to play for Sundance. It's always like an actual tangible skill, whereas writing is more of a thinking thing. So it's very hard to say he's good at writing because his great-grandfather was good at writing. Did the school encourage this at all?
Yes. One of the benefits we had in the Dutch education system was that we did a lot of writing as well, whether formally through whatever school exercises and part of the curriculum, or informally. What we used to have is a lot of, what do you call them? I'm just trying to translate. Anyway, but it was like journals. And as kids then, you would write in a journal and then the entire class at some point would all be writing something about, whether about your life or about the person in class or whoever. So that tradition of writing was always encouraged and it was just always there.
You mentioned translating. Well, were you studying in Dutch?
Yes.
Do you think in Dutch?
Sometimes I do translate still. It really depends.
What would be like, not like a common phrase, but some of the things that like you would say, but say it also in Dutch as you're doing mundane tasks like brushing your teeth?
Oké, ik ga even mijn tanden poetsen.
See, that just sounds like you're possessed. But is it weird now because you're coming from the Netherlands? Was it Amsterdam?
Outside.
Just outside.
Yeah.
You're coming from Dutch country and then you come to SA where we speak Afrikaans. Was there any correlation at all, realistically, talking the language?
Yes and no, because the language, obviously, Afrikaans is a derivative of Dutch. And so the words are the same, the sentence structure. Well, the words are similar, but the pronunciation, how you say things, is very different. And then also, there's a lot of other words, like from Malay, from Indonesian languages that are in Afrikaans. For example, you've got an Indonesian sentence structure, the double no. So in Afrikaans, you'll say, ik zal dit niet doen nie.
Yeah.
So you don't have that in Dutch.
Yeah.
You don't have a double negative. So there are those differences. Also, the other thing, because people came by ship, right? So a lot of the words used in Afrikaans, it's actually shipping language. So, for example, in Afrikaans, a kitchen is a kombuis.
Yes.
And in Dutch, a kombuis is specifically a kitchen on a ship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those little nuances are there.
Okay.
Yeah. But to actually speak it, it also sounds very funny if you speak Dutch and you hear Afrikaans. It's like, it sounds like what the Dutch would say is kindertaal, children's.
Oh, it sounds childlike.
Yes,
Yeah.
sounds childlike. But yeah, there are similarities.
That makes sense because also with isiZulu and Swati, Swati people sound like they're still growing up
Yeah.
because it's like a very softened version
Of-
of isiZulu. So you studied your formative years in the Netherlands. When do you now go to the US?
I went to the US in the 90s. So 93, early 90s. And then I studied there.
So you went specifically for Hope College or...
So I went to study, yes. So I went to study there. Yeah.
And when you... Because you studied international relations and political sciences. Were you trying to be like an activist? Was it like Black Panther, Wakanda?
No. I've just, even today, I'm still interested in politics. But I'm interested in it from a creative perspective. At the time, I didn't think that I would actually go into the arts at that point. I always thought of writing as I'll do it, when I retire and when I'm much older. And then what happened is life happened.
Yeah.
Life happens. I had certain experiences and then I realized, no, actually, this is not for me. And I should stay true to what my passion is, which is writing, which is the creative arts. And so that's what I did.
So now, did you drop out of your studies or did you
No.
complete?
I completed it.
Yeah.
And then I did work with some international organizations. And that's really where I realized, okay, this is not... I had to choose between my two passions. I love development, and then I love writing and the arts. But when I saw the actual, the structure and the management of what I thought development is, and I saw it in actuality, that's when I was like, okay, I don't think this is quite for me. Because a lot of us want to make a difference in the world. And the way that system works, it's too big to actually make an impact. And I was still very young and, I'm in it. I want to make change. I want to do this. We're going to change this world, whatnot. And when you then see how it really works, then you think, okay, it's for some people, but not for me. And so what happened is we'd gone to another conference and meeting. So you keep meeting the same people. And then I speak to them. I'm like, okay, what have you done since we last met at this, workshop or conference? And then they'll tell you about, we've bought all these products and we're going to sell them on the market and do this and that. And very few people actually spoke about the work, the impact they're making. So it was more about everything that happens around the issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah.
And so I was in my 20s at the time, and then I looked at some of these people who had been in the system for 20, 30 years, and I had to think and say, okay, is this what I want to be 20, 30 years from now?
Yeah.
And I said no. And I just made that decision. Let's do something that is more meaningful to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to say that it's not meaningful
To them?
to them.
Yeah.
But to me.
You had to choose you.
Yeah.
So now Tiger Brands comes on board. They headhunt you. How does a multinational conglomerate headhunt an individual to bring them into South Africa?
Well, so at the time I was living in Washington, D.C., and I was chosen. It was a group of about 10 people from all over. So from Europe, from the UK itself, and then from the US. So they flew us all down to London, and we went through all these tests, and it was quite intense.
Tests?
Yeah, you had to do, they had to see their aptitude.
Yeah.
Where would you fit in, or where would you, all of that. And I'm proud to say that out of all the people, it was me and another girl from Cape Town. We scored
Yeah, the highest.
consistently the highest. I can't even remember how they got my name.
Yes.
But it was a referral from someone, but I can't remember that far back.
Do you have any direct links? Because I'm assuming your parents were in the Netherlands when you were born. Then you were studying in the US. So now, was there any direct links to SA at all at the time?
Yes.
So you still had family members this side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Then you come into SA and you go to Wits and you pursue a diploma in media, ethics, journalism. Then later on you shift into investment and finance.
Yeah.
Are you just trying to find yourself, or are you just clutching at straws at the time?
Well, what it was, at the time it was Jonic, and they had a special program. And so through that, we then also got to do all these programs at Wits University. And again, it was still in line with my thinking. I like politics, I like, international relations. So I still wanted to stick to that part of my studies. And then I did some work in media, also a bit of writing. And then again, I realized, okay, this is also not quite, I'm not a journalist. I enjoy the field, but not as an actual participant.
Yeah.
I want to stand outside and watch and
Yes.
see and comment and criticize. That's my part.
Yeah.
I don't mind writing the occasional think piece or do a column, but that's, journalists, they've got that passion, that drive,
To
hunting
speak truth
stories.
to power.
They want to hunt stories.
Yeah.
And I realized, no, I'm not the hunting stories person.
When do you write your first play?
So I started writing several works around 2004, 2005. Well, I've been writing before that.
Yeah.
But you mean as in published work, it's around that time. Yeah.
And your first play, your first fully completed piece, what was it?
So the one that was staged, or
The one that was staged. So you were writing both short stories and plays.
And plays.
Which means that some were just creative writing and then others were actually...
Yeah. So I wrote a play called Bubbly Bosoms along with Mama Balo. And we were actually asked to write it. There was a group of women It had Nakedi Ribane, Connie Shume,
Yeah.
and Faith Kekane. And then there were 6 jazz artists. So they had a collective and they needed people to write this play that they called Bubbly Bosoms. So that was the first play that was staged. It went to Grahamstown. It was staged at Pretoria State Theatre. And I think it did another small event somewhere else. Yeah.
What's the format now, going from like the short story to actual something that's going to be performed?
It's very different. So when you write fiction, fiction is very much about thinking. So the thoughts, and you can express and characterize through thought. Now stage is about dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't really think about stage without
Dialogue.
conversation. So there needs to be action on stage, there needs to be conversation, and you can't have too many silences, blank moments. Like film, you can have a film and have very little dialogue, but stage, it's about dialogue.
So now, do you include the stage directions in your manuscript, like shouting, or do you leave that to the performers to interpret?
You know, different playwrights write differently. So you get playwrights who are very specific and they'll tell you, shout this, that, and that. And then there's others who don't give too much direction and leave it to the directors and actors. With me, let me think. I think I do some, but not too much. Yeah. I don't give too many stage directions, but it is a playwright's liberty to do or not to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with the plays, when do you now get, I don't want to say discovered, but become slightly more prominent from your work, that people start taking notice?
It's hard. It's hard. Because also we've got a very strong theatre tradition and people who've been in it for a long time. And so if you come into this particular sector as a newcomer, it's not easy. I think you have to be bold. You have to be bold. You have to approach theatres. You have to go to them and say, look, this is my work. Will you read it? Will you hear me out? Will you listen to it? And that's basically what I did. I was sitting at a coffee shop at some point, and then I saw James Nobo. He was the artistic director of Market Theatre.
Yes.
And I saw him, and I said, oh, I went up to him. I said, James, I've got something that I'd like you to read. And he said, oh, okay, send it to me. And I sent it to him and the producer, and as they say, the rest is history. They called me for reading. I brought my actors in, and they liked the piece.
Which piece did you send?
It was Shoes and Coups.
Shoes and Coups.
Yeah.
Then how does the work start on it? So he likes the piece. Do you now find your own performers, or does he set up his producer to get everybody on board?
So then what happens is the producer will send an email or call and say, listen, we're interested in this piece. And the theatre then, what they do is, well, also it depends, but I'm going to tell you first about the traditional way.
Yeah.
So the theatre then will start looking into the crew as well as the actors. At times they may ask you, do you have actors that you would like for this particular piece that you had in mind? And at that particular point for Shoes and Coups, I had actors in mind for the 2 male parts, but I didn't really have actors in mind for the 2 female parts. And so what they then do, they contact the different agencies and you start auditioning. So we went through that auditioning process, and I was very fortunate to get the actresses that I had. So that's the first part of the process. Then what happens is you will sit with your producer and the entire team that's part of the market theatre or whatever the theatre may be. So it is communications, it's marketing, it's sales, front of house, lighting, all of them.
Yeah.
Costumes. And so what you do as a director is you start presenting your vision. So you tell them, this is my vision for the play. This is what I see in terms of sound, in terms of lighting, in terms of set design. And so that everyone who's part of the theatre is part of this production and knows what their role is in this particular play, so that those who are in charge of sales can sell it, those who are in charge of set design, have an idea.
Yeah.
And then you start the rehearsal processes. And yeah.
While all of this is happening, how do you get paid?
So the theatre also then pays for the director, the actors, and the crew.
But I'm saying, as a playwright, so you came and you hijacked James Noble during your coffee break, got him to like you, not got him to like him, but he liked your piece. How are you now surviving? Because you haven't had open night yet. There's no ticket sales yet. So how are you buying airtime, affording rent while you're setting this play up?
Well, you see, that's the artists juggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fortunately, if you are directing a play, then you have to just dedicate your time to the play. And so the market theatre will then pay for you to direct and pay for the staff and all of that. And of course, when it comes to ticket sales, it goes to the theatre, but also a percentage to the actual playwright. Outside of that, you just have to make it work.
Yeah.
I do other work when I'm not directing. And that's just the life of writers, of artists. When you're not, for example, if you're an actor, if you're not acting, you have to try and find another way to,
Sustain
get some
yourself.
income, whether it's teaching, whether it's, corporate gigs, whatnot. But that is the life of an artist.
Yeah. But I suppose the difference between a performer and a playwright is that there's IP. So obviously it would be your intellectual
Yes.
property.
Yeah.
So your work is commissioned every time they use it.
Yeah.
And some of your work is included in coursework in the UK and UKZN.
Yeah.
Do you get reimbursement for that?
So we do get royalties for work that's being used. Yeah.
And then the nominations come, the Naledi Theatre Awards, where you guys get nominated 7 or 8 times. Is this now validation of this very long, colorful journey that you've taken?
Absolutely. I remember sitting in the theatre. It was announced at the Joburg Theatre when they made the announcements. So when the first nomination came, I was like, oh, great. And then the second, like, oh, okay. The third, what is happening? It was a welcome surprise. And as you say, it was a validation that in the end it is worth it. It's a lot of years, a lot of nights, long nights, late nights, when others are out there partying, you're writing, going over your scripts, going over your work. And so yeah, it's good.
From your own point of vanity, what would you say like your favorite narrative was of your plays or of your short stories, if you could pick one?
Well, going back to my interest in politics or just human beings, societies, and how we engage with that political backdrop, I like to set my narratives within some political contexts, but I don't like it to be too overt.
Yeah.
It must be subtle. I like to take big political ideas and then drill them down to something that individuals can relate to.
Yeah. in layman's term, what happened? Because if it's a rom-com, it's boy meets girl, they act like they don't love each other, but they end up together. What was a plot that best described what you just said?
For example, my short story, A Day in August. Yeah. So it's a dramatic story. The idea really, I started writing it after Marikana. And after that massacre happened, I started thinking about the loss of all these men. And again, it's a repetition of what happens in Black society, where Black men are consistently eliminated, killed, disappeared,
disposed of,
leaving female-headed households, but leaving such a void in our lives. So that is a political story. So that's the political context. And so what I did with the story called A Day in August, so it happened in August, it's about a young woman who suffers from a mental condition. She also lost her father when she was young. So one day there was political protest. She saw her father joining the mobs of people toy-toying, and then she never saw him again. And no one in her family told her ever what happened to the father.
Yeah.
So then where the story picks up is her cousin is sent to deliver letters from her father. She hears that her father has died. So he's written letters to her, telling her over the years where he was, what he was doing. So the cousin finally comes to Joburg and delivers those letters to her. And then that's sort of what she's going through and working through. So it is a story that is set in that political context of, Black homes, where are the men?
Yes.
Yeah? But I'm telling it through a very personal story between this girl, her father, her absent father, and the cousin who is now there to try and give her the answers that she's longed for all her life.
So for me, theater is to television what church is to music. Because a lot of people in the music space started out in church. Gospel, keyboardists, etc. And a lot of performers and writers, directors who are in the film space started out in theater. So theater is almost like this place where you workshop ideas. And you did a masterclass for screenwriting. Was there a hectic shift between the theater space and screenwriting? Now that you know that there'll be a camera, he doesn't have to play things up all the time. He can use micro expressions.
Yeah, there is a huge, huge shift. I notice it when I work with actors who come from TV to stage, and everything is very much in the face and very contained.
Yes.
Because the camera picks up on the most minute of actions. And so in theater you have to be big and you have to, stand out and step forward and be,
amplify yourself.
And so film is quite nuanced. Unlike theater, we don't want nuance in theater. So yeah, that shift, it's quite big. And also you have to constantly think about the visual. What do you see? Not so much what do you hear, what's being said, but what do you see? And it's really, it requires you to do that click shift. Okay, shifted. Which is not an easy thing to do when you come from theatre.
Just to bring it all to a close, the former Minister of Arts and Culture, Pallo Jordan, he said that you're a South African writer to look out for. This was in 2008. Do you think you have made him proud?
That's a tough one to answer. I think if he had read more of my work, I think yes. I think so, yes. In terms of the work itself, the substance of the work, if it's about being out there, because I think we are in a society that believes that if you're out there, then that in itself is the measure of success.
Yeah.
And which is not a measure of success for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in the substance and the quality. So, yeah, I think yes.
Final answer.
But if you want to say in terms of being out there and whatnot, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's also not easy. South Africa is a very small reading society. So when it comes to the publishing world and all these different sectors, you have to weigh, like,
Yeah.
how do you actually then get your work out there when there's so few publishers, and even those publishers are more interested in certain kinds of works, certain kinds of celebrities, or
Yeah.
So it's not always about. I understand, because we are not a country that buys books, so you're gonna focus on the names, those who stand out, and hopefully people will be attracted by celebrities or whoever with the big name politicians.
Yeah.
And buy books, and maybe in that way start getting a more of a reading society. But yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of dumbing down that's happening, especially with what you're saying. We're not readers. And most of the people who aren't real readers. There's people who open a page, put a cup of chamomile tea, take a photo, post on Instagram, and then go watch TV. But that is a conversation for another day. Thank you so much for joining me. That was Palesa Mazamisa. In the next coming episodes, I will be speaking to a film scorer, which is the person who puts music, sound, mood, and feelings into all of your favorite programs. For now, I am still your host, Gino Shedile. Goodbye and keep binging.